What's going on, guys? Texas Platinum is back with a new video. We finally got all three of us together for the first time in what feels like forever. Matt Myers, Matt Madrid, and myself. It is Red River weekend, so we are super excited about that, obviously, playing OU and the Cotton Bowl, just like old times. So we got an exciting video for you guys. We're going to be recapping the TCU video, but ultimately this is the OU Texas preview. So look for that. If you're new here, welcome. Please subscribe, like, and comment. It really helps us with growing our channel. And especially if you are new or are just looking for that OU preview because you're excited for it, just look in the description below. We have timestamps. So feel free to skip ahead if you don't want to hear about the TCU recap. Otherwise, feel free to just sit back, watch, and just go with the flow of the rest of the video. But let me toss it to you, Matt Madrid, as we hop into TCU, being that I don't believe we have any other additional announcements. Kind of give your initial thoughts. Close game up there in Fort Worth, got a little scary at the end. How do you feel about everything?
Man, I mean, I'm happy that we beat TCU. I mean, that's just that in itself is a victory. I mean, obviously it's a victory, but I mean, I had us winning a little larger, but I'll take the dub where I can get it. I think in that game we got to see a team that dug their heels in and really tried to do everything they can and everything that was needed to win. And if that means giving Bijan 35 carries and almost killing him, I mean, so be it. We got to get a W. I don't think that's going to happen again because I don't think anyone's going to scheme us up that well. But yeah, I was really impressed. I was really impressed that especially in those last quarters where it kind of seemed like, ooh, we could let this one slip, that they didn't, and they held pat. So yeah, initially just beautiful adaptation, beautiful grittiness, and it was just one of those statement wins that Sark needed here, and he got it.
What about you, Myers?
I think that game was a great sign of us being a good team because if you look back at it, we played really a bad game, honestly, and pretty much all phases. I mean, defense I thought did make plays when they needed to, and I mean, they made the stops when they needed to, but we were really close to blowing that game open at the end. Despite how ugly we were 1 yard away from going up 3 touchdowns with 10 minutes left. And then at that point, TCU probably just taps out and gives up, and then we win convincingly. But TCU got that goal line stop, and then they went down and scored on our super tired defense. So the fact that we were able to, win an ugly game like that in Fort Worth against Gary Patterson, who, by the way, is still very salty that they lost.
Oh, yeah.
If y'all haven't heard, he's trashing the way that Sark used Bijan, 35 carries in his press conference. He apparently cares about the well-being of his players more than the average coach. So good on Gary. What a strong, upstanding
health over wins,
Yeah, but man, it was good. Casey Thompson came back down to earth, unfortunately, but he made the plays down the stretch that we needed. I mean, he had a horrible first half, and to be honest, it wasn't all on him. He would make some good throws, but then we'd have drops, and the O-line, Christian Jones would completely whiff on some edge rushers, and it put Casey in some bad spots. And Casey did miss his fair share of throws, but Casey was able to kind of settle in the third quarter and hit a couple of nice passes to Whittington and just kind of keep us afloat. And then, everything was heavily just relying on Bijan because that's all that was really working for us consistently. And it's a luxury to have him. And the fact that he took all those carries and, he looks really healthy. That's a really good sign going into OU because we're going to need him. Hopefully not 35 carries, but let's go.
A lot.
Over 20 for sure.
I was going to say at least 20.
But I expect our passing game to definitely be more of a factor in Dallas.
Yeah, definitely. I think when you look at kind of if you had to sum up the game in a sentence, what I'm thinking is Texas won because they had Bijan, and TCU lost because they didn't run Zach Evans enough. Because Zach Evans was gashing us, and that guy's good. Oh, yeah. It's funny how it's interesting to compare the two of them because I mean, obviously, the top two recruits in their classes. Texas was really going after Zach Evans up until he kind of gave us the cold shoulder, and then we went hard after Bijan and got him. But definitely interesting seeing their different running styles. I almost want to say that Zach might be like faster, but Bijan's just so shifty and just so slippery and just it's like comparing like a Saquon to like a, I don't know, like a Kamara or something. I'm not sure. I'd have to look into it more, but regardless, it was fun watching the two trade off blows. I just think that they should have given the ball more to Zach Evans. I think they would have had a better shot at winning. But yeah, really what it came down to is that final drive that Texas had to go. I was terrified because our receivers were looking really bad this game, really the whole game. I mean, Whittington had those big catches, but even outside of those, like probably the worst we've looked at the receiver position since the Arkansas game. Just couldn't make any catches, couldn't get separation, which I feel like is always TCU always does a really good job in their secondary against us. That I feel like that's a, every year kind of thing. So I don't know why I wasn't like expecting that. I guess just because our receivers looked really good the previous couple games, but just that final drive to kill, to end the game and kill clock was just a lot of guts and just a lot of unbelievable effort by Bijan Robinson. I mean, 3rd and 6, and you're running the ball to him. And if you look at that play, like he should have been tackled like 4 yards short of the first down marker. He should have only gotten 2 yards, but just his unbelievable shiftiness and then a great last effort when he was at the line. And then the offensive line, a few O-linemen helped push him forward. That was just, I mean, if he goes on a Heisman campaign, I'd argue that run was maybe not the flashiest run he's going to have all season, but it felt like a potential Heisman moment. Maybe not because it wasn't a big enough game, but something to the year I'm going to remember for a while, just because that was crazy. I'm like, oh my God, we're running. I'm like, dear God. And sure enough, he by the skin of his teeth. And after so many carries, I'm sure he was dead tired. But that also just shows you, like Myers was saying, just how good a shape he's in, being that, he had, over 30 carries at that point, and he's still able to make those cuts and drive, and dig deep. So that definitely is something to be stated. Obviously, there are a lot of other things to talk about. Another big point of the game is just we left so many points on the board. This could have, I think, been a blowout if we just convert in the red zone. 1 out of 6 visits to the red zone, we got a touchdown, which is atrocious if you think about it, and unexpected when you consider that we have Bijan and all these other weapons. And I don't even think it was like we just couldn't execute it. I mean, TCU definitely, had good defense, good defensive schemes for the red zone, but I mean, there were just a lot of drop balls and missed blocking assignments, and Casey didn't really have time, and Bijan wasn't getting good holes, at least when he was in the red zone. He was at other parts of the game, but we just couldn't execute. So hats off to Dicker, the kicker, I guess, for, kind of getting some of his clout back. 4 for 4 on field goals, had some terrific punts. So after looking kind of shaky this season, he at the right time showed up and showed out. And
they change holders?
And they did change holders.
Yeah.
Yes. That is an interesting thing. So Sarkisian addressed that and said that Dicker just likes to have this other holder because he works with them more. And Dicker addressed it too. And apparently this other holder is a specialist, which should have been his holder from the beginning.
A holder specialist.
I have no idea why it was Hudson in the first place, but Sark is saying that, this is in no way us just intentionally redshirting or like, redshirting against Hudson Card, but take that way you will. He may just be saying that when in reality he is. But then I guess other additional thoughts, defense got a lot of turnovers. Well, not a lot, but created some havoc, which was good to see. Anthony Cook deserves some damn respect. We mentioned him last show, but especially after this game, I mean, he had some really big plays. That sack, fumble, and run that he had was big, as well as some other just really good tackles and just good coverage. I mean, he's just really balling out, and I think it's easy for us to overlook him when you got, linebackers like Overshown or cornerbacks like Jameson. Even you got these high profile guys, and Anthony Cook started out as a really high recruit, then kind of got humbled a bit, but this year he's showing up and showing out, and curious to see if he continues to build on this. And you guys better be watching out for number 11 on the defensive side of the ball, not just the offensive side of the ball. So those are just a few quick thoughts. I know that we have a few more in our notes. Madrid, Myers, let me give you guys some rain as we kind of wrap up our TCU thoughts. What else do you want to talk about?
Matt, you go first, Matt.
Yeah, I want to go stick with the defense and talk about the D-line a little bit. I thought it was actually a pretty good game from our D-line for the first time really all season. Byron Murphy stands out a lot. It seems like every game, whenever he gets in, he's making flash plays. And I can't really say the same thing about Keandre Coburn. Coburn, that may just be a style where he's not, going to make the flash plays. He's going to kind of clog the middle.
Solid,
yeah. But it's looking kind of hard to leave Byron Murphy off the field. And same with Tavondre Sweat. I know Tavondre plays a lot anyways, but Tavondre played really well on Saturday. He had a huge batted pass on a crucial third down. I remember that, got our defense off the field. And shout out Jacoby Jones. He actually, for a while there, I was like, man, this guy's just he's in there, but he doesn't really do much. But I thought he played really well. He had a nice sack. So our D-line I was actually happy with for the first time all year. And Anthony Cook, creating all those turnovers, that was a beautiful disguised blitz that we didn't really see from DBs under Todd Orlando. And you couldn't even – Max Duggan had no idea he was blitzing from the backside. It was just beautiful. It was like vintage Texas, like Will Muschamp, Gene Chizik type defense type of plays that we'd make back then. So that was awesome to see. And really in general, our team, ever since the first game, we've been creating a lot of turnovers, really. And we're going to need them this Saturday against OU. So that's a great sign for our defense, the ability to create turnovers and capitalize on them. But yeah, we left so many points on the board on offense, like Trevor was saying. Really, all around, our offense played its worst game in a long time. Xavier Worthy, I guess he got the hype got through his head a little bit. He had some bad drops, but he did make some good plays down the stretch. I remember that one end around. He kind of took it a nice gain and lowered his shoulder into someone. So he'll bounce back without a doubt. But overall, I can't really nitpick this game too much because after that opening kickoff, you had those same TCU feelings like here we go again. They're all fired up to play us.
Yeah.
They look like gods out here. Zach Evans just runs in immediately for a touchdown. And our team just, we didn't panic like we would have under Tom Herman. And we just settled in and just pretty much not dominated, but we controlled the game, starting really in the second half. So really encouraging sight to see. And I was saying before that TCU game that I'm more nervous about winning in Fort Worth than I am about beating Oklahoma, just because of the history and the troubles we've had with TCU in the past. So the fact that we were able to win on their turf is huge. That's I'm nitpicking, but I'm just overall I would still grade it as an A. Just the fact that we won. So I'm really content with the overall performance.
Yeah, I'm content too. It was the first time I got to experience us just granted it's always it's TCU, so you always know you're in for a fight, and the first drive you're like, oh shit, I've seen this before, but that didn't happen this time, and we felt like I said before, we felt prepared, and I felt that we could handle that situation. There's going to be you can't win every game in a blowout, but if you find a way to win in any other way, then that's the only thing that matters, personally. Just a quick thoughts on Xavier Worthy. He had some pretty horrible drops, but he also did really good at blocking on the outside for a few screens and I forget, screens and maybe some outside runs. But he do some pretty good blocks. So I just want to give him a little more credit because he was doing stuff other than catching the ball too, and I think that's really cool. Second, are we like this dude Keelan Robinson? Like, are we saving him?
We got it. Yeah, I'm wondering the same thing.
Yeah, I'm like, this guy, every time he touches the ball, it's like it's a first down, if not more. It's like, and he's so fast. It's like, oh my God, how is this guy just not getting more touches? I have a feeling we're saving him. Maybe it's this weekend. We'll see a little more of him.
I hope so.
But like, I hope so too. It just really took me by surprise. That you just know when he's on the field. You just know when he's on the field, and I think that's really cool. And he's just one of those weapons that we haven't unleashed yet. Shout out to Jordan Whittington for being that consistent receiver. Little Jordan Humphrey style. He's just doing his thing, making sure that he's always open, and he's always open in the middle of the field. He's a big target, and he's fast. He's having a great season. I'm so proud of that guy. Other than that, it's sad that Okafor got hurt. That was a big part of the offensive line. That Carriage came in. I think Kurtstead is moving inside, taking the spot. I thought Carriage did pretty well that game. Granted, it was a slugfest either way, so we'll see a real test this weekend. But other than that, I thought he fit in pretty well. Other than that, I'm just happy we got out of Fort Worth with the win. It could have been raining the way that game was playing, just how gritty it was. But I'm just glad I'm smiling after the Horned Frogs.
Yeah, it was sad to see Okafor go down and now have, be out for the rest of the season. And that
might be his career, man.
It might be his career because he was I think he was a 6-year player, something like that. So
yeah,
it sucks to, see someone, come back for, their super senior year and want to go out on a high note. But
yeah,
thoughts and prayers with him, and I'm sure he's gone through a lot. But on the bright side, I did like what I saw out of Carrick. I think he's going to be a really solid right tackle. I mean, we've been calling for him really since the offseason, just because he's looked so good in every game that he's been in, and he's got a nasty streak about him, which is, so good to see. Mm-hmm. And then Kerstetter being inside, I don't know how he's going to be as a guard. I don't know if he's actually played guard. I mean, at this point, he's played at every point on the line. Yeah. So at least he's, a veteran experience, and maybe I'm hoping that's going to help out Christian Jones, just because Jones is still a little bit green and is learning a lot, especially being at the left tackle position. I mean, that's like big deal. One of the hardest positions in football, really. So I'm hoping that Kerstetter can give him some pointers and help him pick up on blocks and coverages and stuff. Cause Christian Jones did not look great in pass protection this game. Not bad in run protection. And you could say the same really about the whole line, but pass pro definitely took a step back, which was sad to see after we looked so good against Tech. But yeah, I think that's really final thought. Anyone else have final thoughts about TCU before we move into Oklahoma?
No, I said everything I need to say.
Yeah, we're 2-0 in Big 12 play, and big game coming up this Saturday.
All right. Well, let's hop into it then. Big game, biggest game really of the regular season, as it is every year. Texas versus Oklahoma in the Cotton Bowl. This time going to be much different. Going to be a sold-out crowd, full state fair attendance, just as it should be. Myers, were you at the Red River game last year?
No, I didn't want to go to that.
Yeah,
half empty Cotton Bowl. That's wrong. So
kind of sad.
Yeah. So none of us experienced that in person, and I was wondering if you did, because if you did, I would have been very curious to hear your perspective on just how much of a culture shock that's going to be for these players that this will be their first time like actually experiencing, Red River. But yeah, big game ahead. Top 25 ranking. Texas squeaks in this week to 21. Oklahoma stays in the top 10, moving, I think, down to 6. Yeah, they're at 6 now. So they're undefeated. We're 4-1. So all in all, good records, looking just really a lot like 2018 in terms of records and also just kind of how the teams are doing in general. Let me hand it over to you guys. Opening thoughts about Oklahoma in this matchup.
I'll go.
Oh, my bad, bro.
You're good. Yeah, OU comes into this game at 5-0, and honestly, this is probably the worst OU has looked in a long time coming into the Red River shootout. Maybe 2017 or 2016, I'm sorry, was the last time they looked this suspect. They just really haven't put it all together yet, especially offensively. It's kind of weird. They're more of a defensive-led team now. I think their two best players on their team are by far Nick Benito and Isaiah Thomas.
Yeah.
So they have a really good front seven. Honestly, they may have as good of a front seven as Arkansas did. Maybe it's even better. I think what separates Arkansas's defense from OU's defense, though, is I think Arkansas had a really good secondary. I think we can pass on OU. But, yeah, OU has really struggled out of the gate. I mean, they beat Tulane by 5. They barely survived that game. They were like a couple yards away from, being literally in serious trouble of an upset against Tulane. They barely beat Nebraska, but that's a rivalry game. But still, Spencer Rattler looks horrible in that game.
Mm-hmm.
West Virginia, Spencer Rattler looks terrible again. His fans want him benched. The whole fiasco. They only put up 16 points, and we just saw West Virginia get beat at home by Texas Tech, a team that we put 70 on. So, and their one good game was Western Carolina, but I didn't even know that was a football team until the season. So, yeah, OU's they're kind of struggling by OU standards. I mean, they're still 5-0. They're still the Big 12 champions, but there's an opportunity here for Texas and Sark to, get that golden hat back in Austin this year in year one of the Sark era. So, yeah, OU looks, they're talented as always and well coached by Lincoln Riley. But I think this is this game's very winnable for Texas. What about you, Madrid?
Oh, absolutely. With this momentum and the way the teams are setting up, I think Trevor said it reminds me of 2018. Every time I evaluate OU Texas games, I always come down it always comes down to me who, not necessarily who has the better quarterback, but whose quarterback is going to play the best or make the least amount of mistakes, because there's going to be points. There's going to be points, obviously. And I have tried my best to talk myself into Spencer Rattler this season. Look, we played a college fantasy football, and I took him in my first overall pick, and I don't even play him anymore. I just don't even play him anymore. He's not putting up OU quarterback stats. And I feel like that's something that's really different this year and really odd. I don't remember I saw the stat on Twitter, but basically in passes of I think 25 plus down the field, he's one for 5 and a pick. This guy's not throwing deep. It's all intermediate. It's all short. It's all Kennedy Brooks. He's not pushing the ball downfield like your normal OU quarterback. And I don't know. If I'm our defense, I'm licking my lips right now, because that's blood in the water. But yeah, I just don't think, personally, I don't think Rattler is. He's probably be a good pro prospect, but I don't think he's gonna he's not scary. He's just not scary. He makes mistakes. I thought Kyler made mistakes. This guy makes mistakes, and he doesn't invigorate the offense like it used to. So yeah, I think this is the most vulnerable 5-0 team I've ever seen in my life, and it's right for the taking for us.
Yeah, definitely. To add to your argument about this game definitely is a game that turnovers come into account, big plays come into account, and then quarterback play is obviously turned into account. When you look back at 2018, again, we'll hint at that just because that's the last time Texas won the Red River game. In that game, really the separator was Sam Ehlinger played one of the best games of his Texas career. While Kyler Murray did play a really good game, but he had 2 turnovers, and that was I think kind of the difference in the game. And of course, Casey Thompson will be starting his first Red River game. There's going to be
Oh my
stories
God.
galore.
New narrative, baby. New
narrative.
Texas QB narrative. Oh my God.
Yes. And it's going to be, so I'm very curious to see how he does, because obviously the spotlight is on him as a Oklahoma legacy, not just a legacy, but a legacy to a quarterback at Oklahoma that was really a legend up until he kind of fell from grace and encountered some troubles with the law during the Switzer nasty era. But up until that point, yeah, typical 80s stuff. But just an absolute legend of a quarterback and his father. And Casey ends up going to Texas and sticking around, really, sitting behind Sam for all those years, and then sitting behind Card, and was able to take the starting job from him. And now here he is. I'm very interested to see how he takes this. Obviously, we know Oklahoma fans, especially in that Red River game, they are very good at calling out players and saying very interesting things, especially in that tunnel. I know that there's going to be a lot of probably traitor chants and stuff like that for Casey. The good thing is Casey seems to be the kind of guy that relishes in that and doesn't, falter. He said before that he likes being the villain. So this is the villain game for him. Especially, playing against the team that you grew up rooting for and grew up all around. So I think that his game elevates, but we shall see. In terms of Spencer Rattler, everyone's saying that, he's experienced. He's played in this game. He'll be fine. Not really, because last time he played in this game, he did not do very well. He got benched, and then he did better at the end of the game. But also, that was not like a real Red River game in terms of the atmosphere, as we were hinting at earlier. It's going to be totally different. And he's played last year, just the atmospheres in general weren't quite what they are this year. And this probably will be the most hostile environment that he encounters. I'm sure it will be. Thinking about last year, because they played a bowl game in the Cotton Bowl, which, it's like that's like a home game for Oklahoma, and it was against Florida, which, far away team. But so this, I think, will challenge him a lot, both quarterbacks a lot, and really kind of curious to see who flinches first. Rattler's definitely been prone to some interceptions. I mean, Casey kind of has been too, and Casey hasn't hit the deep ball either. They're kind of going through similar struggles in a way. I mean, Casey, I would say, definitely has looked a lot better than Rattler this season, but Rattler looked almost like his normal self in the last game against Kansas State, which is saying a lot, being that they were playing on the road against a team that is kind of like our TCU, for them, where they've been upset by Kansas State so many years. But he looked very solid, had a very high completion percentage, which is telling. So quarterbacks will be the name of the game this weekend. Let's move on to a few other position groups. Myers, let me hand it back to you.
Yeah, I just want to add on to the quarterback conversation real quick. This is a really big game for Casey Thompson for all the reasons you just said, Trevor, but you could just hear it like in his interview this week that he's very excited and he's been waiting for this moment for a long time. And I actually remember him freshman back in 2018 when he was a true freshman, wasn't playing. He was just on the sideline. I remember him like going crazy before the game. Like he was like talking trash to the OU fans, the OU players. He was like into it. Nice. And, he's an OU legacy. So obviously this game means a lot to him, but I'm just hoping that like he channels that in the right way on Saturday. I hope he doesn't try to be Superman out there and just do a bunch of crazy stuff. I hope he just plays within the offense and feeds Bijan. And I'm sure he will. He's such a, smart, film savvy competitor. So I think he'll be ready. And also you mentioned Spencer Rattler's looked pedestrian, and he has without a doubt. But I think a lot of the reason for that is OU's O-line in general is one of the worst O-lines they've had in a long time. They usually have a great O-line, which is a reason why their offense always looks so prolific. But this year, their O-line's really young, and they've just kind of taken some lumps. Their run game, with Kennedy Brooks and Eric Gray. It's been kind of hit or miss. I mean, Kennedy Brooks played well last week, but just in general, that O-line has kind of hampered them a little bit. So hopefully our D-line can, make the most out of that on Saturday. I think we may have the edge on the interior right there. And I also want to mention Oklahoma, while they do have a good defense, a good front seven, they have struggled a little bit with making tackles, their linebackers in particular. So if we're able to block and create holes for Bijan Robinson, and then he gets isolated with these linebackers in space, that's going to be like first down every time because Bijan's just that good, in the open field. So, yeah, I mean, it sounds cliche, but our offensive line will really dictate this game, I feel like, because even with a bad O-line, Bijan can still, go for 200 yards or something crazy. He's that good. But if he has running holes to run through, that's when it gets scary. So, yeah, it's just something to watch. Receivers need to definitely play better on Saturday. I mean, Whittington kind of been consistent outside that Arkansas game, which has been nice. We can kind of rely on him, in big downs to go make plays for us. Worthy, the freshman, he needs to definitely – this is going to be the biggest game he's probably played in his life. So there's going to be some bright lights for him. Hopefully he's up to the challenge. And Josh Moore, man, he's a guy that we need to see more out of him. I know he's not targeted that much, but what he needs to – he had 10 touchdowns last year, and he's like been a ghost this year. We haven't seen him at all, really. So receivers need to continue to play better. But, yeah, I mean, Madrid, what do you got?
Man, this is the first time I feel like we have a coach that can at least go toe to toe with Lincoln Riley. I feel like Lincoln Riley was just always snubbing his nose at us every time we showed up for the Red River rivalry up in Dallas. I just felt like he just always knew what he was gonna do and what we were gonna do, and it was just more of him controlling the game. This time, I think he'll have to meet more of a maybe not equal, but pretty close to it. Mind in Sark. Speaking of Casey, you said it. He's been thinking about this game forever, and I'm really excited to see him perform. I don't know, maybe it's a little mean, but I'm also excited just to see another quarterback in this game other than Sam Ehlinger. I mean, I loved him, but I don't know, it just still spice it up a little bit. So I think he'll rise to the occasion. Look, we don't really need this is what I have a bunch of friends in another group chat who they hate Casey or they hate Card. It's real divided, right? And I keep telling them hey, I don't even think it matters. Although I'm a Casey guy, I don't even really think it matters per se, just because that's not our offense. With Sam, it was please just do everything for us. And now it's just hand off to Bijan, and the worst that can happen is fumble or something, but knock on wood doesn't happen. But it's much more clear and it's much more safer. But when you have the best back in the league and arguably the best player in the country, things work out for you and doesn't put a lot of pressure on your quarterback. So I think Casey plays a better game than TCU for sure, just because I don't think the defenses will. Well, they have a good defense, but I just don't. In past OU meetings, there has not been a lot of defense. So I think he'll play a better game, and I think our receivers will play a better game. But yeah, I'm more excited to see the matchups of the coaches, mostly just as much as we'll see a storyline about the QBs and whatnot. I think the coaches is probably even bigger in my mind.
It's an excellent point. Because before Casey was named the starter, that definitely would have been the storyline going into the game, and still kind of is. Sark versus Lincoln Riley, two of the best offensive minds in college football, respectively, going at it and meeting for the first time as head coaches. At least I think Sark was OC when Alabama played OU. I think maybe not. I don't know, but because that was a little while ago. But yeah, so I mean that definitely is something that should not be overlooked. Again, keys to every football game, but especially keys to OU, because I've noticed it a lot in the past 2 years in particular. Well, really every year we play OU is the trench game. Who wins the trenches? And OU's defensive line is pretty damn good. They got a lot of scary big body guys that have bullied us over the past 2 years. They've won the trench game, which constitutes them winning those matchups, really. Sam has been sacked. Not that he's, he's obviously not on the team anymore, but those past 2 OU Red River games, I think he was sacked like 20 times between the two of them. It felt like it was bad. So our offensive line needs to play the game of their life, or at least just really needs to step it up. I mean, Casey's elusive, so he should be okay, but yeah, we need to really improve there. I'm Christian Jones versus Nick Benito was a nightmare last year. And also considering that Christian Jones did not play a great game against TCU, especially in terms of the pass rush, which is ultimately what matters when you're going against an edge rusher in Nick Benito. That is going to be something that I'll be watching and we'll be looking out for. And I think will be kind of a key to the game. So I think Roshan will get a lot more snaps in this game for the simple fact that we are facing probably our best defense, the best defense. Well, yeah, I mean, them or Arkansas, but I mean, I would say that OU is more talented than Arkansas in terms of defense. Arkansas just really came to play that game. But yeah, we're going to need some additional blockers. You're probably going to see a fair amount of tight end play, serving as blockers versus as receivers like they've typically are. So yeah, we're really going to have to beef up on the offensive side. On the defensive side, let's see what we can do, how much pressure we can generate on Spencer Rattler and get to some of these running backs and clog some of the holes. As Myers said, their offensive line is definitely kind of not suspect, but we can expose them, I think, with our defensive line. And we haven't really dominated, a team defensively in terms of the line play really all season, which is weird because I think a lot of Texas fans thought we would, considering how deep and talented our defensive line is. This will be a big test and a big opportunity for us to do that. And I feel like we say that every game, but especially in this game, that's going to be important because trench play in this game in particular, I feel like is always that plus turnovers is like the two tails of the tape in terms of who wins and who loses this game. So that's something to definitely look out for. Kind of, I guess one person that we haven't mentioned, I mean, we've mentioned him, so I'm lying about that. But we haven't talked about a ton is Bijan. He is a game changer in the fact that Texas has Bijan, Oklahoma does not. Oklahoma has a stud running back room with Gray and Brooks, obviously, and other guys. But Bijan, I think really he's starting to garner some Heisman hype and well-deserved, especially after the TCU game. And this is good for Texas because Heisman hype is always good for recruiting purposes, and we need to have a good recruiting class this upcoming year. There's a lot of extremely talented people for this upcoming class as well as the following ones. And if Sark wants to turn it around where their recruiting's been a little mundane, I think it starts with generating hype, and what better to generate hype than with a Heisman contender. And in order to be a legitimate Heisman contender from either Oklahoma or Texas, this is the game. This is the game to show up and show out. So I hope and expect and will watch number 5 to see what kind of game he has. And I hope that he is able to generate some like big splash Heisman type plays because that's needed, especially as a running back. Not that Bijan hasn't had highlight plays because he has, but he hasn't had that giant run, that 50. I mean, he had that one against Rice, but I mean, that's Rice. But, against like real competition, he has not just broken away. He hasn't been like Reggie Bush, and just having like these highlight plays. He's just been very, very productive and getting a lot of, 6 to 10 yard runs that are, very efficient. So Madrid, can you meet? Or is it Myers? When y'all meet real quick?
I'm mute.
All right, cool. Sorry about that, guys. So yeah, that's definitely something to watch for, and I hope we see, because as I said, that's so good for recruiting purposes, and him and KC, it'd be nice to see them both have great games, obviously. But yeah, he's kind of that joker card per se whenever you're looking at matchups. Is how well of a game can he have, and what kind of production he's going to get, and will he be able to continue with this now growing Heisman hype? Because there's not a ton of players that really stand out this year in terms of Heisman. I mean, obviously you got Bryce Young, but I mean, I know that he's putting up great stats, but he's not, I don't know if he's a Heisman quarterback personally. I know Matt Corral got a lot of, he's really good. I don't know. For me, Heisman, he's got to have a little pizzazz, and Alabama, I mean, is a juggernaut, sure, but I don't know. That's like saying Mac Jones, winning the Heisman last year. It just doesn't have that. And I think people want to see, a skilled player, kind of like last year with Devonta Smith, in having like Bijan. It's been a while since the running back has won, and I think people are compelled by it. So anyway, long story short, someone to watch out for that obviously everyone's going to, be looking for. But I think it's important that that Bijan goes off in this game for his sake and for recruiting sake, and just bigger term implications as well.
Agreed.
Yeah, you're right on the money. I mean, the Heisman, yeah, Bryce Young is number one in the Heisman odds, but he's kind of there by default because it's just he's the best player on the best team, and really no one's stood out as like a Manziel or a Lamar Jackson or even a Saquon Barkley type talent. I know Saquon didn't win it, but yeah, I mean, if Bijan has a big game and has a Heisman moment, like maybe a big run down the stretch to win the game, he could definitely insert himself in the top three, like just like that. Like by next week, he'll be in the top three. So yeah, and Bijan's definitely got the talent for that. So, but yeah, I like what you're saying, Trevor, about like recruiting and everything. This is a really not just this week, but next week too. Like the next 2 weeks for Texas are so huge for this, the state of the program, because Jimbo Fisher and A&M, he blew up that program a lot faster than I thought he would. It seems like they're already want him out after they just gave him that big extension. Now they want him fired already because he has a horrible old offense and is just a big ego coach that's kind of outdated with modern offenses, and that's going to hurt him on the recruiting trail. So, the state's wide open. I mean, if you go and take out Oklahoma, then Texas is just sitting alone in the fertile state of Texas with all these recruits on deck. I mean, Evan Stewart, Devin Campbell, they're both going to be in attendance at the Red River Showdown. Those are 2 5-star guys that we absolutely need so badly. Those are the 2 most important recruits left on the board, in my opinion. Brennan Thompson looking good for Texas right now too, a 4-star receiver. So much momentum on the line, and then not to mention Arch Manning coming to town next week, where if you win, and we'll probably jump into the top 15, and Oklahoma State's undefeated, they're going to be a top 15 next week as well, probably. So we'll have a top 15 matchup at DKR in a slate that really has no good games at all next week. So I mean, maybe they could come to us back to back. That's kind of, there's things out there for Texas to, really take a huge step forward in year one with Sark. But it has to start on Saturday. And I mean, it's really doable. Yeah. OU is going to be a tough game. They're a really talented team. A rivalry game's never easy, but I mean, this is the most, suspect OU's looked in a long time, like I've been saying. So I just really hope that our team's ready to, go out and take that challenge on, because it's right there for the plucking. I mean, Sark can have this thing rolling, really. Like if we win our next 2 games, if we look up like in 3 weeks and we're 6-1 and control the Big 12 standings, like this thing's gonna go nuclear. Honestly, recruiting, everything. So it's just it's exciting times. So I hope our players are up for the challenge.
Madrid, you got any kind of final thoughts as we each start wrapping it up?
I liked what you said about how compelling it is that there's a running back as a Heisman candidate. Look, the Heisman award is always going to be a QB award, even though we just had Devontae Smith. But like before that, it was Derrick Henry. It was the last non-QB, right?
Yeah.
And even that one was questionable.
That's questionable.
Yeah,
definitely.
I think people are drawn in by it. It's just because the running back has to do so much more to win that award. Like, you got to be breaking records. You got to be like 200 yards plus a game. It's crazy. It's crazy. But if he shows out here, then for sure he's a candidate, and the hype train is rolling. And like Matt said, we're 6-1 down the road. We got a Heisman candidate. We have the best player in the league, and then college football. And it just, I don't know. I always thought about OU as like, you get past OU, it kind of your season kind of writes itself. And we saw that. I think we see that every year. So, and it really dictates how the rest of your season will go. So, other than that, I'm just excited. I don't know about you guys, but like, getting through school and work has just been like a slog. Like, I'm not paying attention. Like, I need Saturday. I need Saturday. And I'm going to wake up early. I'm going to grill. We all know. It's just, I'm really excited about this weekend.
Absolutely. Let me give two more quick final game related thoughts. And then I'll hand it over to Myers, and then we'll wrap it up. Additional thoughts I want to mention. As I said, obviously at the beginning, turnovers and line play are so indicative of winning this matchup in particular. One thing that I want to mention is Texas hasn't had like a special teams play in this game in what feels like an eternity. No kickoff returns for touchdowns, no punt returns for touchdowns, no like, we've had a pick six, but none of those two big things. No like giant special teams moments. It's been a while. I almost want to say it's been since like Dejae Johnson in 2013. That's his name, right? It's been so long.
Yeah, his name. It's been a while.
Yeah, so we got a guy, the other number 5 in Deshaun Jameson, that has been so close this year to just breaking one off. And he's been his whole career. This is his last year. I think he's got 4 touchdown returns off of punts or kickoffs, which I think is like 1 away from breaking the Texas record for a career. So we've been waiting. I know that he's due for one. At this point, you can count on it every year to happen. And definitely something to watch out for. I'm curious if it's finally going to break off in either a punt return or a kickoff return. And you can tell that he wants it. He's gotten so close so many times. So definitely look out for that. Special teams play in general is going to be huge in this game with the special teams that we've had this year. That's just going to be giant. So also look out for Keelan when it comes to the blocking punts and such as well, because he's been there all season long with Jeff Banks's unit. And then last thought I want to give, we're done with the Turtle Tom play and the Red River game. That's all that ever was outside of his first time playing against Oklahoma. I feel like that was a very complete game, even though we lost that. Sam got a concussion. I think if he didn't, we would have came back and won it. But yeah, 2018, we got a lead. We turtled. We somehow managed to win that game. In retrospect, I feel like we probably should have lost it. But we just didn't give Oklahoma enough time to fully come back. And then these past 2 matchups, we just haven't brought the juice. And I think finally we have a coach that believes in an all gas, no brakes mentality. This needs to be on display against Oklahoma. I don't care if we get up on them by like 14, by not some miracle. I think it's a possibility. Blow those guys out, man. We have not seen this. Texas fans crave it. This is something that Tom refused to do. I mean, he was quoted numerous times saying like, winning is simply like as long as we beat a team by 1 point, I'm okay with that. That type of complacent offensive mentality. Sark is not like that. And obviously Lincoln Riley is known to put up a few points too. So I just think the all gas, no brakes mentality needs to be on full display in our biggest game of the year and a nationally televised game that a lot of people will be watching, that recruits will be watching, that fans will be watching, that people interested in the Heisman race will be watching. It's going to be big. And that mentality needs to show up, I think, to win this game and also to just garner that Texas hype. So those are my final thoughts in regards to the game. Myers Madrid. Any final things before we go into predictions?
I'm good.
I just want to say that was a good point, Trevor, on the special teams and big plays like that. In this game, swings like that are huge given the atmosphere and how loud it can get on one side of the stadium back and forth. So, yeah, a big play, a big kick return for a touchdown, maybe like Jordan Shipley did in 08, which really got us back into that game. That'd be huge. So Deshaun Jameson, he's so due for one. So, yeah, that needs to happen this Saturday.
I like it. Predictions. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Do it.
All right. This game is going to be a spectacle. It is the greatest rivalry in college football, hands down, in my opinion. And it's going to be college game day is going to be there. It's on ABC with they pulled it off where Fowler and Herbstreit are going to be on the call, actually.
Really?
So
wow.
Yeah, we got the primetime announcers for an 11 a.m. game. That's when you know it's a good game.
Has it been like since 08 that they've called a Red River game, I feel like?
In a while.
Yeah, I think it was 08 or maybe 09 because
I can't remember the last time. I
think Fowler asked for this game because he just misses calling that, it's a special environment. And yeah, it's going to be a full stadium after last year. It's going to be like a beautiful sight to see. I might shed a tear in the stadium. Super excited to be there, but I'm very confident in this team. Even against TCU, we looked, we didn't play our best game, but I loved our play calls. I loved the energy of our team, our ability to, bounce back when TCU went up. And then against Texas Tech, we just showed like when we're playing our A game, we can blow the doors off a lot of, Big 12 teams. And OU, they've shown a lot of kinks in the armor this year. So I'm really bullish right now on this game. Yeah, I'm going to take Texas to win this game. And honestly, I think Texas might control it from the beginning. Not going to say we're going to blow them out or anything, but I think Texas may take an early lead and kind of just hold on to it. And, Casey Thompson and Bijan are going to, we're going to give them heavy doses of Bijan on those outside zones and just make them stop them. And if they do stop them, then we'll, go to Worthy or Keelan on sweeps or go downfield to Jordan Whittington. So I expect Casey to play one of his best games ever at Texas. I know he hasn't played that many, but this is going to be a really emotional game for him. And I expect him to, definitely show up for that moment. So, yeah, I think Texas is going to win this game 37-27 and take control of the Big 12 title race. I know it's early in October, but I expect the Horns to get it done.
Madrid, how about you?
I think it's going to be a little closer just because I think both offenses, or actually not both offenses, both quarterbacks are not the best they've been on both sides in a while in this matchup. Like, I think Spencer versus Casey is pretty pedestrian from the past, from like Sam and Jalen, Sam and Kyler, Sam versus anyone. But I think we'll be scoring back and forth for a while. I'm not gonna say game-winning field goal, but I like us by 3 points. I think it's gonna be another one of those like TCU games where it's like, oh man, someone's gonna have the ball last, and this defense is gonna need a hold either way. So yeah, I'm excited for the game. I think we get great performances out of Bijan. I think we get great performances out of our defense as well. And obviously it'll just come down to turnovers, which I think is always what it comes down to. So yeah, I got us 38 winning 38-35. I'm sure we're all gonna pick Texas, I think. But yeah, no surprise here. 38-35. Give me the Horns, baby.
So I will fall on the sword and take Oklahoma.
I knew you were gonna do
it. I don't know if I'm confident enough to do a full sweep of Texas. Do I feel in my heart that Texas can win it and will win it? Honestly, yeah. But for the sake of hopefully reverse jinxing this and and not coming across as like too overly confident, I got Oklahoma winning a very close game. What's the score I put down? 45-41. So 4-point difference. A lot of high scoring. I know Oklahoma's been down, but again, they looked much better against Kansas State, and Oklahoma's gotten up for this game. It's really been a while since they haven't. Yeah, I mean, the last time they didn't get up for the game, they got embarrassed by a 2015 Charlie Strong team. Since then, they haven't looked, average in this game in particular. Lincoln Riley obviously takes it very seriously. And like I said, this is more just out of respecting the opponent. Again, if one of y'all picked Oklahoma, I would have picked Texas. But I think just to keep it even and to keep that rivalry factor there, I don't want to do the clean Texas sweep. I'm not quite that confident yet. But nevertheless, I expect a very good game, a very close game. And I do think that Oklahoma will put up a fight. They're too good not to. I mean, they could falter, but from what I've seen historically, they're too good for me to think that they're just going to fold like a lawn chair and that's that. I know a lot of people have said that they've been kind of exposed and look bad this season, but Oklahoma's got a thing where they always typically start out the seasons a little bit slow. Maybe not always, but last season they definitely did, and they ended on a high note. And that changed in this game. This game was a big step for them last season, and from there they went undefeated and won the Cotton Bowl. So I expect them to ball and play out. Again, I'll predict them just to keep this a little bit more unbiased and fair. Not that my opinion is overly biased, but yeah. Either team can win. My prediction, 45-41, feels right, regardless of who the winner is. But I'm going to give it to Oklahoma for the sake of the rivalry, as a little olive branch per se.
I mean, let me ask: you got money on OU, Ben?
I would never bet this game. Stay away from this game.
Fair enough. That's a good way. That's a good way to think about it.
That is a word of advice. I've been to too many of these. I've been to too many of these, and have seen too many crazy things happen.
Yeah.
I saw a stat on TV actually last night about one possession games over like the past decade or something. Just in general, college football matchups, and Texas Oklahoma had the most out of any matchup that's been like consistently played over the past decade, with like 6 one-score games or something. So it's expect a close game, just based off of those statistics. But yeah, I will also be in attendance, Myers. I'm also very excited. I haven't been this excited for a football game in a while, to be honest. It's just going to feel so good being back there, and it feels good. It feels good to, you feel like you're really back to normality whenever you can go to Texas OU and be smashed together with 100,000 other people inside the stadium and another 200,000 outside of the stadium. So it'll be a good day, hopefully.
Hey, Madrid, do you have the time?
Let me check. Yeah, it's 9:42, and OU still fucking sucks, man. Still fucking sucks.
Had to say it.
Also, all of y'all go bet your house and everything you own on Alabama minus 17.5 against A&M.
Oh, hell yeah. Easy.
I don't understand that line at all. I'm really so confused how that, because Calzada and that offense will not score more than 10 points.
No.
They might get shut out.
Yeah, it could be
It would not shock me.
Yeah, it could be really ugly. So A&M's definitely not going to cover that. So go bet the house on Bama.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. All right. Any final thoughts?
No, I'm good.
All right. Well, if you made it this far, guys, I know it was a long show, but thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you're new. And if you're going to the game, look out for Myers Zerai and feel free to say hello. Otherwise, enjoy the team. Enjoy the game from the comfort of your TV and listen to the beautiful Chris Fowler and Kurt Herbstreit call the game that they should be calling every year.
Good eye candy, baby.
Even though I will say that Joe Klatt and Gus do a fantastic job as well.
Yeah.
So either of those two I'm good with as long as that's what it is. So with all that said, horns up. Thank you guys for watching, and we will catch you in the next one after hopefully a convincing UT victory.